Welcome to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee. And today, I am interviewing DJ, photographer, co-founder of The Night Brunch, director of content and sonic identity at Hyatt Global. Please welcome DJ Impulse.
Yeah. As they say, long time listener, first time caller?
I love it.
I believe that's
That is the
what
same.
they say.
It is the same. That's what they say.
That is what they say.
So, obviously, and we were talking before this, obviously, and so I want to get those vital stats. I want to hear about that creative background. And what is a director of content and sonic identity? Give me that, because that's a weighty title right there, my guy.
It is a weighty title. God, it is a long story. So when the pandemic happened, I was a DJ. Obviously, I've been a professional and traveling DJ for 20 years now. And obviously everything came to an abrupt halt. And I was taking photos just as fun, just in my travels and things like that. And then I was hanging around the hotel pretty often because that ended up being a community space during the pandemic. And I was snapping photos and, chiming in on music and things like that. And I was given the opportunity to be a content creator for the hotel. Now, the title, Sonic Identity, was something I just heard floating around, but it kind of made sense to me, being in different spaces in the hotel and hearing the music in different spaces, right? You could be in the downstairs in the lobby. That's one vibe. Or you could be upstairs at the restaurant. That's another vibe, right? So each one of these spaces has to have its own identity. And I thought that music programmer was just kind of like boring. So we ended up coming up with this title, and it ended up being the only title in Hyatt Global across the board. So I'm the only person with this title, which is hilarious.
That's great. That is. It's just like I remember at a point, one of my former partners in this practice, I was like, "You're an Epicurean journalist." He's like, "Hold up." He's like, "That sounded a little too smooth, actually." I was like, "Oh, I have bullshit on the cuff, like ready." I was like, "I can give you a title."
Listen, Rob has $25 words on deck, ready to go.
On deck, just ready. So your creative background, so you have the DJ experience that's you've been doing for a big chunk. You were doing photography.
Time, yeah.
So how did you end up in the Baltimore arts and cultural scene, and how's that kind of influenced you, like in those creative practices and music and taking photography or what have you? Because just because someone is creative per se, they don't end up in the scene and around the scene. Like I was like, who's this guy with the glasses and the coffee all the time? Who's this dude? And that's literally that was my first piece of interest there. So how do you end up in the scene?
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I was born, raised here, and I started DJing when I was 13. So when most kids were getting, bikes and stuff for Christmas, I was begging my parents for turntables and records. It was just like something I just always loved. So I was always around it, and just from that point on, from 13 all the way up, I was just in every part of town, and I was always, being a DJ back then was different than being a DJ now. You just need a computer and a few things. But back then you had to have like a substantial record collection. That's what it was. And, I used to skip school, and I used to take the bus from Parkville all the way to Howard Street. And I would meet up with, these legends in my eyes, these Baltimore club legends, like Scotty B and DJ Techniques and guys like that. So they kind of like took me in, and so I was always around it. And then moving forward, I would listen to Strictly Hip Hop on Morgan State and 88.9, and then I got the opportunity to start DJing on the station with Lil Mike, and and Titan and like all these guys. So I was always around the scene. So it just made sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have this running bit when I see, and it's no shots, but maybe shots. When I see like Apple products come out, I'm like, all right, DJ iPad, what are we doing here? That's literally, it's been a running thing. I remember me and my girl were we were in like international waters going to the Bahamas or something, and it was like, oh yeah, we got our DJ here. I was like, where's his equipment? It literally was what popped in my head. And I mean, and he was good at what he was doing. But I was like, you're doing more curating than. I was like, all right, yeah. Appreciate you, bro.
Side note, I DJ'd on a few cruise ships as well.
I mean, it's a vibe though, and I think going back to one of the things that, and I want to hold on to that. One of the things that you were saying earlier, as far as like each space within the hotel has like a different vibe and a different energy. I recognize that too. And I recognize like, oh, okay, you can't just have like the same thing. It's if you come in to a hotel, if you come into the entrance and it's like, this is I'm already there. Like this is kind of a strong song to come into, and you need something that's a little bit more inviting. Whereas when you're upstairs, you got a certain vibe, little drinks are flowing. That's a different energy. So I think that definitely is it's a science to it. It's an intentionality to it.
No, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, again, it just goes back to the difference between a DJ now and the information is out there music wise, but I'm working with 30 plus years of musical knowledge, B-sides of records. Speaking of B-side, we're going to talk about that at the hotel as well, because that is another space that I've been able to curate from the music to the photography. So, so I'm excited for you to be in that space as well. Like I'm excited for the whole city to be able to see this and experience this space. So.
In doing in working as a DJ for over 20 years, because by the time this comes out, right? Tell me about the chemistry that you have with like listeners, with ultimately the audience that's like being in that experience, because it really, I think, is an experience to move a crowd, to control a crowd with what you're choosing to play, how you decide to do a mix, things of that nature, when those beats drop like how people kind of operate. So tell me about that chemistry.
No, it's music, as most people know, music is the one thing that can bring so many people together, along with food and things like that. But music is the one thing that really, really brings people together. And, just the experience of being in so many different rooms that's something that can't be taught. Like you have to really, really go through it. And I had this experience. One of the most eye-opening was DJing in Tokyo in Japan, and having a room full of people that do not speak the language, but when you drop the music down and you hear them singing all the words to Lil Wayne, like it's like, and then afterwards they come up and you realize like, oh no, they really don't speak English, but they know all of these words, right?
Absolutely.
So that's just one of those incredible experiences that I've been able to have, and again, it's just music truly brings everyone together.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go through some songs and it's like, I don't speak Spanish. And I was like, this,
but they make you move, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
like
crazy.
It's
dope.
Crazy. It was
crazy.
It was this one joint. We used to use it on a segment on one of my other podcasts. It was this Japanese singer. I think it was like a song from like the 70s maybe. And it's called Sexy Robot. And I don't understand anything other than when the chorus comes in. I was like, the chorus is fire. I was like, yeah, Sexy Robot, hell yeah, let's go. And I was like, I feel like these are not Asimov's rules right here.
No.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about this one. How do you describe your style? And I definitely want to key in on fashion here, but how do you describe your style? It could be, DJ, photography, but definitely do not omit the fashion component.
It's funny when I think of photography, this is super important to me, and people have asked me this before, because my photography has this kind of like element of God, it's hard to explain, but when I'm DJing, I'm constantly reading the room, right? I'm trying to I'm seeing things that maybe other people aren't seeing. And if one person in the room, if there's 500 people in the room and they're all having a good time, there's this one person that has his arms crossed and he's upset. I'm like, how do I make that person have a good time, right? So when it comes to the photography side, I'm seeing things differently. I'm almost seeing things like as if I'm behind a DJ booth. Like, that's why you don't see a ton of. It's so difficult for me to get pictures of myself because right. I always have a camera with me and I'm always taking photos of other people. And I truly enjoy taking photos of people rather than architecture or stuff like that. Like, I'll shoot, I do a lot of food photography and things like that, but catching people in these natural moments is like that totally gives me life, just like when I DJ. Yeah. Now when it comes to fashion, I have always dressed as if it was 1993. So yeah, so I don't know, like, it's funny when I come to my kids' school or things like that, and I'm like just the outsider, it's like, yeah. What is this dude wearing? I might come in with like right now I'm wearing the Morehouse hoodie. Yeah. I'll have some like camo pants and some like Jordan 1s on, and these other people are wearing like an Under Armour vest with some, you know what exactly. I
know what you mean.
You know that fit. That fit.
It's like, are we hiking? What is this Patagonia? What are we doing here?
What are we doing? But yeah, so that's my style. And honestly, man, like the moment you see me in something else is like, yeah. Oh, he gave up. Like there's just no way that I would ever change.
Just opt it out.
That's it. So
it's this one thing where, as I've been doing a few more public facing things, my brother is my reference point. Like, yo, you sold out, bro. And he's like, huh. A lot less Carhartt these days. I was like, look, I'm comfortable in my car. He's like, huh. He's like, a lot of rings. He's like, a lot of rings now. I was like, why are you judging what I'm wearing? He's like, what's your ring budget like right now? I was like, what are these shots?
Oh, don't worry about it.
Whenever I go to these shows, someone's like, sick ring, bro. I was like, shit, he's right. I do have these very blatant rings. Yeah.
I complimented you on that ring the other night.
Right.
I noticed these things. Exactly.
So my thing is always, how can I be comfortable?
Tell your brother to chill out. Tell your brother to chill out. Wear your rings, Rob.
I'm wearing my rings. I have a new bracelet I just purchased. It's just like, look, I'm getting adornments. It's adornments right now.
Let's go.
But yeah, it's definitely very Carhartt forward these days. And because it's comfortable. And, that's literally the aesthetic, but definitely what you said, like, look, I dress like I'm in 1993. It's a thing that one of my favorite wrestlers said. He was like, man, my aesthetic is just perpetually 1998. He's like grimy Yonkers 1998.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, I mean, I'm sitting next to a Mongoose BMX bike right here. I got my 93 Harley Davidson sitting out in the parking lot right now.
It's like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm living.
I'm out here, baby.
So tell me about the night brunch. And I had the opportunity to attend one, actually, which was really fun. Did the Halloween one, and I had my weekend fit from after hours. I was feeling very proud of myself, and did the whole family thing. So it was a surprise. It was one of my girls' kids' birthdays. So I was like, I looked like a champion. Beautiful. And you were doing your thing. So tell us how the night brunch came together, and give us that rundown about the night brunch.
Yeah, night brunch started. It was, Jason, my partner, Jason Bass. He and I were kind of sitting down it was either coffee or drinks. It was a beverage. And we said, man, we've traveled everywhere and we still feel kind of like bored in our own city. How can we have something that's fun and exciting, responsible? that revolves around food, drinks, and just really good music. And more importantly, how can we bring the city, which is very siloed, how can we bring the city together to experience some of these restaurants that maybe in a part of town that they may not frequent or even know about, for that matter. And so that's basically how it came about. He and I started at our first one at Modern Cook Shop, which was in Fells Point. At the time, the first one went really well. We said, hey, let's try this again. We did another one. It was even better. Then we got into the branding and actually named it. It wasn't even a thing at that point, but you know, it's very simple. It's the night brunch. It is brunch at night, but don't get it twisted. Like, there's only one night brunch. So there is only one. So yeah, you know, from that point on, we started moving around the city. Typically it's on a Wednesday night from 6 to 9. So, or 6 to 9? 6 to 10, I'm sorry. So, you know, you come after work or whatever, have a good time. You can still get to bed at a reasonable hour, make it to work the next day. But whatever you do after 10 o'clock is not up to, like, that's your business. On our end, we're just trying to help you be responsible. So,
and it definitely is a vibe, and you know, echoing that sentiment there. You know, it was another podcast that I was doing for a long time, and it's like, we're not those other guys. That was the way I used to put it. It's like, we're not those other guys. We do our own thing. The branding's different.
the brand is strong.
Yes, absolutely. Diesel, brolic. So what techniques do you experiment with to get, like, to have your sound be like original, what have you, to have your approach be original as a DJ?
It's a good question. You know, sound wise, you know, I try to mix everything, right? If you listen to some of my sets, you'll hear familiars, but you'll definitely hear some things that aren't so familiar, but you like there's like, oh, I like this, right? So, and that's always been kind of my style, kind of like really digging into, you know, B-sides of things, or just trying to find some really cool, like, eclectic things that are going to fit in, right? Like, here's two for you, here's two for me, almost, like, you know, like that. You know, scratching was always like a big thing for me too. I used to be like a battle DJ back then. So, you know, having all of the elements of hip hop DJing, whether it be if I'm playing hip hop or I'm playing Baltimore club or house music or whatever it may be, like, you're still going to hear a lot of those elements in the way I DJ. So yeah, that's kind of my style. And people kind of like pick it out when I'm playing. So
I like when you, like, because I did a deep, because my girl's a big house person or what have you. She's from Brooklyn, so it's just like, oh, this is just what I'm blasting. And when you hear, like, because I had to do a deep dive, like, the learning curve was quick when it comes to, like, house music. I was like, all right. So I listen to someone and I hear, like, a house, I was like, okay, I bangs with you. I know what you're doing. Oh, Break for Love? Oh, that's what we're doing? You know, I'll be on that. Or, oh, Jungle, okay, cool. Jungle Brothers, got it.
Exactly. And there's so many subgenres of house. Like, it's heavy. You know, for a lot of the stuff that I really truly enjoy playing is like that French filter disco house, like Jack in the House, like that's what I'm truly into. So the more I can squeeze that into my sets, you know, the happier I am.
Absolutely. I mean, when I did the Meteor Man screening, I put together just, like, you know, the curating piece. I can curate something. And I was like, just going through, and I was like, the soundtrack is buns for this movie. I need to do my own. And I found some disco song that was called Meteor Man and I was just like, oh no, this has to be in there. And then the rest of it was just house music that I like. There was a lot of Chicago house in there. I was like, oh, I dig this. This is just going to be in there. And I started going through. This is a Spotify playlist. And I was like, oh, I already like all of these songs. I was like, okay, my music taste is on point. It's consistent. I didn't just sell out and put together something. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Tell me about the weirdest or funniest experience you had DJing.
Oh God.
Because I like the weird and I like the odd. It's like, yo, somebody was.
Oh man. I mean, I have one that is really truly stuck in my head. That really combines both of those things.
Spin it.
So I was opening for Wu-Tang. This is when ODB had passed and they were doing a tribute tour.
Mm-hmm.
I was DJing at Sonar. I was still on vinyl at the time. I wasn't using a computer. And, there was 14 opening acts, of course, and Wu-Tang was late, right? So I have probably about 1,500 people chanting Wu-Tang,
yeah.
right? The promoter says, you have to go back on. I'm like, I have nothing left. There's nothing that I can play that will make these people happy. So I'm digging into my records and I put on, I think it was Baby, What Happened to That Boy right? It was the one and only time I've ever gotten booed ever. They did not want to hear it. They basically were throwing tomatoes at me. It was so bad. So I instantly go into this like panic mode. So I have like maybe a half a crate of records left, and mind you, I've played every hit that there is.
Yeah.
And so within like 6 minutes, I get them back. Now the place is erupting again. Like, thank God. So their DJ comes on stage. He's like, I got it. Boom. We switch over. I'm still in like full panic mode. And then I go into the green room because it's like the only quiet place. And Raekwon and Ghostface are in the back with 6 bottles of Hennessy and like all of this. It was just like fried chicken everywhere, right? Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. They throw me a towel and they were like, come eat some of this chicken. And I was like, yo, I made it.
That's fire.
That was like the craziest 2 moments, and they were like back to back.
Absolutely. That's dope.
Yeah.
So I got one last question before I get into these rapid fire questions, and that question would be because we like to drop gems here, right? What advice would you give to aspiring creatives? Because you wear a few hats here. Like, you're not only a DJ, you're not only a photographer, you're not only a founder of like community involved programming, you're not only the director of content and sonic identity, you're doing a lot of different things. So what piece of advice, that gem that you would give to someone who's aspiring to just be out there in the scene?
Yeah, it's that's always a tricky question, right? Because for me, I've been truly, truly blessed. I don't like throw that word around a lot, but I've been able to do something that I love, right? For all of these years and get paid for it, right? But as far as on the creative side, just erase money from your mind. Just totally erase money from your mind. Do it because you absolutely love it. The moment you start just like thinking about the money side of it, it's no fun. It's no fun for anyone at that point. So, I've always really believed in just doing something, especially when it comes to creativity, doing it because you truly, truly love it and it brings you joy. So
that's big. It's important.
Yeah.
All right. So now it's time for some rapid fire questions. I got 4 of them for you.
Oh man.
Now, we're going to be as brief as we can with these because that's the purpose of it, right? What's without fail on whatever you're going to play? Like I was going to say playlist, but if you're doing a set, what is without fail going to pop up in that set of yours? Like that signature track? Like, look, I was at Impulse show and it's like this is played every time.
Oh, Jesus. I would say, God, I would definitely say something Catronata.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say something Catronata. That's always in there somewhere.
I've just
I
been
don't know what
listening.
specific,
Yeah.
but that sound, you know.
Absolutely. It's just Boiler
Yeah,
Room has just that set has just been playing on loop for me for a couple of years at this point.
that's the funniest boiler room ever.
Yes.
It's those drunk girls in the back.
Really funny. Um, okay, this I'm gonna save this one for last. I'm gonna hit you with the other one. Besides
Okay, all right.
coffee, a camera, what is something you're always carrying? Because that's something I've seen. I was like, that's the guy with the coffee and the camera before I even knew like who you
Besides
were.
besides coffee and the camera, you know what? I typically I'm a sucker for bags, so I
Okay.
always have like some sort of weird like bag, backpack, tote bag, something like that. That's typically what I have on me at all times. So yeah, and my
What
and my AirPod Pros.
as I need to upgrade. I got these.
Oh,
They're ass. I need
they're
to get the
so good.
pros.
The pros are great.
What is your hottest take? Like it can be in any area. It's like, look, I feel very passionate about like tater tots. It can be in any area. What is your hot take? Like your hottest take?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I feel the most passionate about air fryers.
Really?
Yes, bro. Yes.
You're very pro air
Listen,
fryer.
I am so pro air fryer. You will not. Do you have an air fryer?
No.
Oh my God. Everyone that's listening to this right now, like wherever there's a comment section, just jump in there because like it has been a absolute game changer. I'm not kidding you one bit. One bit.
All
Like
right.
if somebody could remove my oven from the kitchen and just give me two air fryers, that's it. It's all I need.
That's really funny.
Like it's insane. Yeah.
I've purchased two as gifts. I've never used one.
Yo, gift yourself. What are you doing? You need one.
I mean, I have like a yakitori grill. I got all types of weird stuff. I was like no air fryer. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't think there's a space for this in my domicile. I don't think my house is gonna have that.
Listen, we have the smallest kitchen and it's in there. It's like coffee, air fryer, like room for nothing else. But
Okay.
those are it's
That's
trust me. Trust me.
I'll figure it out because my girl's got one. I might have to try it out. Maybe I'll fall in love with it. And I was like, all right, let me try this air fryer.
She's never spoken positively
Oh, she
the air
doesn't
fryer?
use it. This is specifically for the kids. Like she was like,
Oh,
look,
word.
she was like, look, I
Just throw those the dino nuggets, some tots in there. You're good.
absolutely.
But I'm telling you, like I've made some incredible dishes in that thing. So
Okay.
you can bake a cake in there.
All right, you're getting a little out of hand there. You're getting a little out of hand. What do you part of? What do you part of big air fryer?
I told you. I told you. Told you I was passionate.
Is another title that's there? Air fryer identity. That's what we got going on. So this is the last question. I think I got the answer a moment ago. Actually, if you were not a DJ or what have you, as that's been the kind of chunk that you've spent a lot of your life doing, what would you be if you weren't a DJ? Like career path wise.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say music programming, obviously in some capacity. It kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm doing for Hyatt and for the Revival. But yeah, definitely music programming, and I've been taking photos since I was 6 years old. So it's I would definitely try to incorporate photography somewhere into my business. So
I dig it.
yeah.
But there you have it. I want to invite you to tell the fine folks where to check you out, social media, all of that good stuff. And thank you for coming on to this podcast. This has been great.
Oh no, thank you, Rob. Like seriously, man, I've been again, like I tell you all the time, like long time listener. I think you're amazing
Thank you.
at what you do, and I look forward to every episode. I've learned a lot actually from your podcast. So props to you. As far as everything else goes, it's just DJ Impulse on IG. Just go straight to DJ Impulse on IG, and my link tree is there. You can find all my mixes, my YouTube, and then everything that I'm doing at Revival as well. So that's it.
Well, there you have it, folks. For DJ Impulse, I am Rob Lee, saying that there is art and culture in and around your city. You just got to look for it.